guys, Rudy Herrera again. So by now, on the last lesson, we went through some really basic character design, and you should hopefully have at least a handful of characters worked out. If you don't, that's okay. Just keep keep practicing till you get it. Maybe a lot of that depends on your story, and maybe even after this practice, you might want to add some characters, subtract some characters, because this lesson right now on paneling is really gonna set the parameters of your story, right? Like how much you're able to tell, because we do have a finite space of this. In this particular program that we're doing 8 pages, right? So that's 8 pieces of paper just like this, folded in half, with another piece of paper that we're going to use as our cover and our back cover sheet. So that's 10 papers total, but we have 8 papers to tell our story, right? So now we need to figure out what's really important to us, and the best way to do that is to figure out how we're going to condense our story, right? So we know we got 8 pieces of paper. Hopefully by now we have some rough idea of our story, but how are we going to get it into these panels, right? So one thing I did, as I like to do, is first off, what I had to do is actually get
8 pages,
right, and kind of look at it, physically look at it, right? So I know, okay, you do that first, right? So you just can kind of see. As you see right here, I have some stuff sketching it, and this is going to be another helpful tool. And another thing I did was, if you see right here, and this is just for me, I want you guys to do this too, because this is going to help you from getting confused. I basically just went right here and numbered each one. 1, 2, 3. I numbered each one. I was like, oh, okay, and I got to it, and I was like, okay, I have that many pages to figure out to tell my story. What I then did after that, the number comes out to 16, right?
4
pages, front and back, 16. So what I did, and this is rough, right? We're trying to keep it rough right now because you don't want to commit to anything right now, because we're still figuring this out, right? So look, these little thumbnails, these little guides, this is basically the comic, right? Broken up. I need 16, yeah? So that may look like a lot. Don't let it intimidate you, because you'll see this can fill up real quickly, right? So in this particular story about the cop, about Mr. Patricio McCullough, I didn't have the story fleshed out, but I knew 2 scenes, right? And I think this is what you should do. Get your bookends, right? So I knew, and what I'm talking about, you'll see, is the beginning and the end. So I knew the first thing you had to do is you got to introduce your character, right, to the story, because this is a real quick synopsis of what's going on in this guy's life, right? We're not going to be able to do a super detailed origin story or anything like that, right? This is if you look at what comics are, they're expansive. This one is, hopefully we're trying to tell one story in one shot, right? So this is what I did. I pretty much just wrote this, right? Hi, this is where I'm gonna introduce my character, and at the end of it, I knew he was gonna win some award, right? So here he is, happy he won his award. And look, it's real simple, right? Because all you're doing is laying it out right now. So boom, I know I need you to meet him, and at the end of it, I need you to see him do this, win this award, right? So now this goes through a lot of paper, because you may not be able to figure it out right now. If you get it in one shot and all your story fits right here, nice, right? But the next step I did after that was, since I knew this part and I knew this part, I was like, okay, I need to figure out everything else, these little interactions, right? And that's where this comes in. This is where your little
2 pages.
fold it in half. So here's my high, right? Here's my introduction. And another one I decided, you know, we're gonna do like a framing scene, and you're gonna see his house, right? So that's gonna be like the hallmark introduction, right? And then you kind of zoom in and you see this. This is the actual introduction of this character. So here you go. The rooster wakes him up. He wakes out of bed, starts firing, right? So now I got that little introduction done. That's my page 1. Okay, I got that done. And you're gonna go through that, right? So now you got ideas. And let me show you what this part looks like, because this is actually a cleaner version of what happened, right? There's a lot of revisions that go in on this, because you're trying to basically, you're sculpting your ideas, right? You're trying to hone it down. So let me show you this. This right here is another brainstorming of ideas. See that? These little squares and stuff right here. Ideas. This actually got nixed. This is an idea that we thought of. And it got, you know, it got left on the cutting room floor. You know, and this one is another group of ideas. You know, see that right here is gonna be a name. His name's Pat. You know, stuff like this. The Alamo, all day work, all this stuff. See this right here. So I'm just showing you this to show you everything that goes into it, right? A lot of revisions. There was another character that needed to come up. This was actually something that happened in the story development. Quat Lee was like, hey, maybe you make a younger dude and not make a character that's over 30, right? So introduce this guy. So I'm showing you all this to show that this gets honed down to something like this, right? This is the actual part where you can look at your paper and you decide, you know, you divvy up your real estate. You decide
it's free real estate.
What's important to show with pictures and what's important to show with words. So I'm gonna take, let's see, hold on one second, I'm missing a paper. Here we go. So I actually worked this out. All right, I have this right here. It's my little cheat sheet, but I'm gonna go through it with you. Where I have, you see, I have my panelings kind of marked out, right? But before I got to that, I had to figure it out like this. I had to go page 2, right? I've already done this. This is checked off. This is the idea of the introduction. So how do I move this story, right? How do you get to know this character more? Well, with this little paneling, you're gonna get some insight into him, right? So I want that to happen. How do I do it? And how do I divvy that up? I went this route. This is after he shoots at the chicken. And again, we're keeping it rough because we're just trying to move ideas. And you'll see, I just use little faces. Right here, he's nervous. He's huffing. He's got his gun out, smoking. He just shot it. And he's just breathing hard. I put these little notes to myself, right? Then after that, he sees, oh, the chicken stopped. So we already got 2 panels, right? So now I want to transition this to the next idea, because you get this idea, what's going to happen next? Well, he's going to start getting ready for work, right? So how does he do that? Here's a panel of him admiring his work, almost taking in a deep breath before he starts doing anything else. By the window, right? This whole time he was wearing a hat while he was sleeping. Alright, So now this is how we know he's getting ready for the day, because he takes off his sleeping hat that he sleeps in, and he puts on his working hat. So just like that, we were able to show, okay, all that's done. He got up. That's the equivalent to his him shooting his gun, the equivalent to his morning cup of coffee, and he's ready to get up and get ready for work, right? So boom, we got our 2. And that's what it is. You want to be mindful of all this. You want to make sure you have a beginning and an end point. You know, what is the ultimate reasoning you're telling this story? Are you trying to convey some idea? If so, then how does that idea come to fruition in the end? You know, is your main character gonna die at the end of it? Okay, then we got our aim point. Is he gonna live happily ever after? Okay, all that's left now is to explain how that happens, right? And that's basically what this is. You don't want to work it any other which way, because you know you run the risk of running into, you know, like a run-on sentence. Now you've over-explained all these things. You've over-explained what this character does, what he hates, what he likes, and whatnot, and you got 2 pages to tell the rest of your story, right? So be mindful of that. You see, you can look at these panels right here. You can infer a lot, and you could pass judgment, and you know, kind of see what kind of guy this is, right? Look at this guy. Who's the guy's all nervous shooting his gun and is happy when something stops, right? You know what kind of guy that is. So it's not necessary to over-explain anything. And use these panels as your vehicles to do that, right? See? Showed you he's getting ready for work. 1, 2, 3, and 3 panels. I'm gonna show you another example of the paneling work, right? So further down, I have a scene where another gunfight breaks out, right? And this is where it can be dynamic. So he shows up to the paleta spot, right? And he starts giving these guys a hard time. Basically, he's shaking them down for the permits. One of the guys goes to get his permits, but Mr. McCullough has already decided he's going to react the way he wants to react, right? So this is kind of a little cool exercise or a technique you can use, because he actually breaks these frames, right? He steps out these little boxes that we've been you know, encapsulating him in. Now he's out of them, right? And you want to do little stuff like that to kind of break up the rhythm of your comic, keep the eye interested and stuff like that. And this is basically, it's also going to help to show energy, which is what I'm trying to do, because this is basically a gun montage, a gun kata montage, if you will. Quali taught me that word.
Got you, homie.
Or informed me of that fighting art. Alright? And again, we're keeping it loose. And this is cool because this is now just placeholders of things that can happen, right? Like, there could be another guy over here. I mean, he's getting shot. Whatever's happening. And then we kind of square it off again. Alright? Because I want to show that someone got shot in the leg. And it doesn't have to be super detailed. These are just going to be things to remind me of later, because when I go in here and when I actually have to start measuring this precisely with the ruler, I don't want to have to start figuring it out again, right? I'm going to use what I'm doing right now as a little cheat sheet to be like, oh yeah, this is when this happens, right? So I know with these 2 panels, I want you to look at these, right? That's why these are in squares, and this is all kind of free form in the open and the rest that are happening. I need your eye to go to this frame, because I need you to see that he's going crazy, and then I want you to take notice that someone got hurt. 1 second. Oh. I have to switch real quick. I ran out of lead. So yeah, so now that one happened to me to be paid. Right? And let me show you what I ended up with towards the end. I basically went through all that. Let me just show you again the amount of paper I ran through all that to do that. Remember, I had this little guide just to kind of actually really square out my panels. And the way I came to this is I started my first page and I did it just like right here. Showed my ending, right? Looked over here, okay, maybe I can tell this little section of the story in this many pages, right? Maybe I could tell this one in this many pages, right? Now it's there. I got my 3 acts, or however many acts it takes to get to right here. And that's what this is, right? Some of that I needed to fill. I didn't need to fill all the way because I knew what was gonna happen. But let me show you what after all that looks like. After this, all right, this guy, that's front and back. And yeah, and there's some basic ideas on this, right? There's a lot of paper to get to right here. Well, basically I got to this. And this is gonna help you out right here, because now you got your little cheat sheet of all your paneling. So when you're coming through and you're drawing all your stuff, you know, when you get to your first page, this is what it looks like. This is my house scene. Okay, you don't have to think about it too much. All the work left for that is to actually draw the house, right? And that's when you can have fun and really lose yourself, because all the technical stuff is been figured out, right? Same things with these panels. You know, oh, okay, I remember I meant to tell myself this, and you make yourself little notes, right? Wakes up, bed. See, remember this? This is when he was nervous about shooting. The chicken stopped. He was looking out the window, took off his hat, put on his cop hat, right? So I just showed you what that looked. So I just showed you what that looked like, and that's what it is. You're breaking it up like that. This part's gonna be trial and error. That's why I recommend you have your little
8 pages.
so you can actually go through that and physically see the space that your story's gonna take up in panels. So do that. It may seem tedious to you to do that. And also make sure you have points. You know, you're almost like your key animations or whatnot. This is what's happening here. You're meeting the character, and at the end of it, this is what happens. Whatever your end of the story is. But keep those in mind, that way you know what your bookends are and when you're gonna stop telling the story. Because all this in between, this could be different ideas, right? We've already nicked some that we originally had and changed it up. And now we went through it, through this, broke into our panels. Once we figured out our story, we put it in here. And we were able to find out what panels were necessary, what words were necessary, and what was needed. Then we transfer that to over here, made this little cheat sheet for us. Because this next step is for us to go in there and start drawing these. So that's a little light lesson on paneling. Again, it just takes practice. Like anything else, your best teacher is going to be yourself when you actually go through it and practice it a couple of times. So do that. Don't get discouraged. I know it's a little more technical stuff than just sitting down and doodling, but people see it and they'll appreciate it, and it'll be cool and you'll learn something. All right, that's all I got, guys.